just a box of souvenirs. For me, the songwriting process is very, it's quite annoying to be a songwriter actually, because you can't plan it like a job where you go, oh, I'm going to book the studio between 9 and 4 and I'm going to write a song then and it's blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, I could, sometimes when I'm not inspired, I'm the worst songwriter in the world. I'm not even a songwriter, and then, you know, it could be 1 in the morning and I'll hear a sound or I'll hear a story and I'm like, oh, great, well that you know, and sometimes the whole song will pop into my head. Sometimes I'll just come in and pick it up and I'll just play and it just comes out like word vomit and I'm like, oh, okay, well there's a song. But I find that when it's painful or difficult or I'm thinking, I just leave it, I let it go. I just kind of record what I have on my phone and then leave it. Because I just don't want to ever not have fun. It should never be a painful process. But yeah, I'll either have some chords. I love the power of a riff is amazing as well. I mean, because I love playing with big bands, and my album at the moment and the way I'm touring with, there's 8 of us and there's lots of things going on, but there's also times where I do have to play kind of me or with just maybe one other musician, and you can put that riff that defines a whole song that was on a guitar or on a violin, and then it suddenly works in another way. So I love writing a good old riff, and I like words as well. I love to tell a story. I think I have to write about things that I know, and definitely with my first album I found that I think it was the first time I'd done one, and I found that I was a girl and I had an acoustic guitar and I had to write about boyfriends and that was it, and blur. And I just kind of had that mindset, and then I kind of ran out of things to write about and realised that people don't just want to hear that. And I started kind of, doors opened as a songwriter, I guess. I started writing about my friends or writing about the amazing places I've travelled to, and people I've met and weird things I've seen, and just writing about things that I know that aren't directly about me. And it was actually really nice to do that. So as soon as I kind of realised I didn't have to write about myself, kind of doors opened and I had so many things to write, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of stages, I guess. Like, you know, when you hear a song, like it was my guitarist, his name's Ronan, and on his birthday we were like, Ronnie, 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 you never know. And I'm like, how do I get the word Ronnie, and how do I get a name in a song? And then you do it one day and you're like, oh my God. And it's kind of like what Paul McCartney said. It's very like, you can't force those things to happen. As soon as you try and make something cool happen, it's not cool, and it just sounds so try hard. And I hate it when I listen to a song and get really upset when I know what the next chord is going to be and I know what the next bit is, because it's so predictable and it's formulaic. And I don't think they should be. And I love weird songs that have a story, or the fact that they were writing about someone who's actually called Ronnie, and that's why it's amazing. But when it's, you know, when they just, oh, that name's cool. Like, it was the same with Cecilia by Simon & Garfunkel. It's very like, oh, well, obviously that's great because that's, you know, she's that and she's that. But, you know, when it hasn't got a story, I find it really, really hard. And yeah, there are definitely levels where you kind of suddenly, those things that you were trying to do, you don't try and do them and they happen. You're like, oh God, I've moved up to the next rank of songwriting now. I've done this. So yeah, there's loads of little random things. And I really love, I love Conor O'Brien from The Villagers. He's an incredible songwriter, and he kind of does the same thing. Like, his whole album is like this big, long story with loads of little stories in it, because he's just writing about things that he knows, and you can tell which ones are about him and which ones aren't about him. You can tell he knows every single situation he's writing about. This song is called Panic Chord, and it's actually probably one of the oldest songs I have that I still play kind of prominently in my set. It's a really big thing for me, and I think it's just so versatile. You know, I can play it in an open D tuning and it sounds like a different song, and then I can play it on the piano, or I've changed the arrangement so many times. I released it when I was 17 on an EP, and then we did another version for my album, and you know, now I'm even doing a different version live, and it's just fun. It's one of those songs that's really easy to change around and even make into kind of a different genre almost. It's one of my funnest songs. Maybe you were just too nice to me. Maybe it took me way too long to leave. Maybe once we felt the same. Maybe I'm the one to blame. Maybe I'm the one to blame. Oh, maybe I'm the one to blame.